Hey y'all, it's Erin from Wildlife Women, and with season approaching pretty quick, let's talk about camo. So one of the biggest problems that I have in early season is finding a light enough camo that I don't sweat myself to death on the way into my stand. One of the biggest issues in early season, of course, is scent control, because it's usually 100 degrees when velvet season starts here in Kentucky. We are one of the few states that gets the opportunity to hunt velvet deer, and so for that I'm thankful. But at the same time, I don't want to mess my hunting spot up by rolling in there and being sweaty and stinky and just leaving my scent everywhere. That being said, I want to show you one of the early season camos that I use. It is one of the few camos that I have found that's light enough that once I'm in my stand, I don't sweat down. It kind of wicks away some moisture. So this is the top. Okay, this isn't mine, but this is the style top that I like. It is, well, it doesn't really say what material it is, but it's kind of slinky. It is very thin, kind of stretchy, and it's pretty form-fitting when I have it on, which I don't mind for it to be form-fitting because, of course, I'm a girl, but I know some of the guys may not like that aspect of it. It kind of puts you in mind of a base layer, but it is, oh yeah, it's polyester and elastane, which I guess is where the stretch comes from. I'm assuming that's elastic. So that's the top, and these are the pants. I do like these pants because they offer lots of pockets. The pockets have zippers, no Velcro, and these particular pants actually have a vent in them. So when you get too hot, you can air out a little bit. So I do like this. The pants are made a little different material than the shirt. It's a little thicker, still got some stretch to it. So it's very comfortable. If you do get sweaty, the material doesn't like stick to you, so that's really good. And also one thing that I like about these is when I spray them down with no scent spray, I really feel like this material absorbs that well, which I feel like helps with my scent elimination. So the next thing I want to talk about is mid-season. So I really struggle in mid-season because it's hot going in, but once that sun goes down, the temperature usually bottoms out, and then I'm freezing. I mean, absolutely freezing. So I found a mid-weight camo, and I actually have this camo in two different patterns. This is the Bottomland, Mossy Oak Bottomland. And this is the hoodie. It's like a half zip or however you want to call it. I love this because it's lightly lined with a little bit of fleece, but it's not so heavy that it restricts my movement or it's super quiet. But it is a little thicker. It's still not heavy thick, but it is thicker, still some stretch in it. But I really like a little bit heavier, and this kind of allows you to layer. So I could wear my early season gear in, and as the temperature drops, I can just cover up with this mid layer, or wear my mid layer with a base layer like long johns underneath it. Now let's talk late season. I freeze to death during late season. I am cold when I go in, I am cold when I go out. No matter what I wear, I feel like I never have enough clothes on. Here's the key to that. You don't wear all your camo to your stand. You take your heavy gear, you wear what you need to get where you're going, and then once you get in your stand or in your blind or on the ground where you're going to be, add your layers as necessary. Now that does create some movement, especially if you're in a tree stand or on the ground. But unfortunately, what happens is if you wear all your heavy gear in and your body starts to sweat, then you're building up moisture against your body. And that moisture can't dry if you have a ton of clothes on top of it. And then what that actually ends up doing is causing you to be colder because you have the moisture on your skin. So when I understood that, it was kind of a game changer for me, and I started doing a lot of packing my heavy gear in rather than wearing my heavy gear in. So here's a couple of pieces in my really cold weather that I love. These are my insulated bibs. I live in these when it comes. I actually have 2 pairs. My cat's over here in the bushes. I have 2 pairs of insulated bibs. These are my favorite, so that's the ones I wanted to show you guys. They are a full bib, and I have actually worn them so much that the elastic is starting to kind of get a little old in it. But you can see that these suckers are heavy. Teddy bear fleece on the inside. I call it teddy bear fleece. That's not what they call it, but it has internal pockets for your hands. So if your hands get cold, you can put them inside. It has external pockets with magnet close, zipper close, has pockets on the outside, and it has the fully zippable legs all the way down, which is great. This is like a must-have for me when it comes to bibs because the half zips just don't cut it. So typically I will not wear these in when I'm hiking in or riding in or whatever, because I don't want to get wet on my base layer and then put all this heat, which is just going to cause me to be colder in the long run. So I pack these in when I get to my stand, because I don't do a lot of blind hunting. When I get to my stand, I will slide these on, or I'll even wait sometimes until daylight. It just depends on how cold it is. If it's super cold, I'm going to put these on as soon as I get in my stand, because odds are I'm not going to be sweaty if it's that cold. But then if I take a lunch break, sometimes it's warmed up and I'll slide these off and just wear whatever midweight or whatever I have on under it. So there is my pick for heavy bibs. And now let's talk tops. So during late season, I'm a big bow hunter, and piling on all those layers sometimes makes it very difficult to bow hunt, because you've thickened up your arm area. You take a chance of the string hitting all of your gear that you're wearing. So it's very, very important to me that whatever heavy gear that I'm wearing is still going to allow me to shoot my bow. So sometimes I'll actually practice shooting my bow in my heavy gear just to make sure that I can shoot in this gear. This is one of my favorite parkas that I have. It has a hood attachment, but I don't have that on. So you're going to look at this and you're going to be like, oh my God, that's so bright. But this is actually an internal layer to the external layer, which is nice and camo. This is completely removable, so it's kind of like an extra layer of warmth. During mid-season, you can take this out if you just want to wear this. The good thing about this parka is it is windproof and waterproof, so if you're hunting in the elements, this parka is a good choice. I've had this parka for quite some time and I love it. I even will wear it sometimes in early season because I can take the liner out and it's not too incredibly heavy. But if I leave the liner in, it's super warm. So again, it has tons of pockets, which is good for a turkey call. It's good for carrying gear, putting small things in, and a koozie. Imagine that. That is, by the way, what I store my turkey calls in, so don't think that I'm out having a cold one while I'm deer hunting. Also, one good thing about this parka and tree stand safety is it does have a place where you can run your lifeline through, or your harness attachment through. Normally I wear my harness under my big coat, and that is just personal preference, because sometimes I'll shed this if I get too warm and I don't want to have to take my harness off and then take my jacket off and then put my harness back on. So now we've pretty much talked all the camo that I wanted to talk about. Let's talk about your feet. My feet freeze all the time. Early season, once that temperature starts dropping a little bit in the evening, my feet are the first things to get cold. Mid-season, my feet stay cold. Late season, my feet freeze. To the point that I literally put hot hand packs in my boots and my feet were still getting cold. And I could not for the life of me figure out, no matter what I did. I even have battery-powered socks. Battery-powered socks. Seems crazy, but I was desperate for anything to keep my feet warm. Here's what I found out. And this is thanks to Mama Linda Campbell, one of our fellow Wildlife Women chapter leaders. She gave me this little hint because I was constantly complaining about how cold my feet got. So, wool socks are your best friend. Wool socks. Wool socks are your best friend. And here's what you do. You wear regular socks into your tree stand because you're walking. Your feet are going to get warm while you're walking. Your feet are going to get sweaty while you're walking. Your socks get damp. Temperature drops. Your feet begin to freeze. So, what Mama Linda taught me was take an extra pair of socks. Take an extra pair of wool socks. Wool is a natural moisture wicking fabric. It pulls the moisture away from your feet so it's not holding there. It's airy, it dries, but it's warm and it doesn't cause your feet to sweat. So wool socks are your friend. I have a million pairs of wool socks. In fact, I buy them every time I see them. Take extra socks. If you notice your feet are getting super cold, you can put socks on over top of the socks that you have on. I've even put wool socks on outside my boots. I've tried everything to keep my feet warm. Taking an extra pair of socks, changing out when I get into my stand has been a lifesaver for me. Also, another fun fact, don't put hot hands in your boots. Hot hands in your boots make feet sweat. When your feet sweat, your socks get wet, and then your feet get cold. Don't put hot hands in your boots. But I did learn a hack. Take duct tape. That's right, duct tape. Put your hot hands on the outside of your boot. Duct tape around the hot hands. It gives you heat coming into your feet, but it doesn't cause your foot to sweat because it's not direct heat contact. Also, if you don't want to take duct tape into your stand, because let's face it, duct tape's noisy, you're going to have to unroll it, it's going to make a lot of sound. Take an extra large pair of socks, put the hot hands on top of your boot, on the bottom of your boot, slide an extra pair of socks over top of your boot. It sounds ridiculous, but it has been a lifesaver for me and allowed me to sit 13 hours in a tree stand without coming down because my feet were so cold. So I've showed you camo for warm, camo for kind of cold, camo for cold, how to keep your feet warm. Now let's talk boots. So I think one of the biggest mistakes hunters make is going and buying a brand new pair of boots right before season starts. You don't break them in, you don't try them out, and then you're out there hunting or you're tracking and your feet are killing you because those boots are stiff, they're causing you blisters, they're rubbing you the wrong way. This can be a disaster. It can ruin your entire hunt. So don't buy new boots right before hunting season. If you need new boots, buy them 3 months before hunting season. Walk in them, test them. If they're supposed to be waterproof, sink those suckers in a mud hole. Make sure they're not going to leak. Cold, wet feet is a disaster. It doesn't matter what you're hunting. Nobody wants cold, wet feet. If you have a pair of old boots that you have worn season after season, which I'm so guilty of, make sure they're not cracked, dry rotted. Rubber boots are horrible for dry rotting. Early season, you're probably going to want to choose an uninsulated boot. That way your feet don't sweat. Cold season, you're going to want to pick a insulated boot. I prefer Thinsulate because I don't like to wear a big bulky boot. I still like to be able to feel the ground. I like to be able to know if I'm being too loud and control that boot as my foot presses down on the ground. I've learned that a big, heavy insulated boot is hard to maneuver. It's hard to climb a tree stand with a big, heavy boot on. So I like to pick a boot that is slim and hugs my foot without causing me any pain or any water leaks, and keeps me warm if I need warmth and keeps my feet cool if it is 10 million degrees outside. So don't buy new boots right before hunting season. If you do, test them out months before. Give yourself time. What if you hate them and you need to take them back to the store? Do not wait till the last minute to buy your new hunting boots every year. So in conclusion to all of this that we've been talking about, I have a slew of camouflage to choose from in my closet. Different brands, different camo. I even have different sizes because some camo I know I'm going to be layering over other clothes. Choose a camo based on its functionality, not on its print or what brand. You need to go with something that is going to work for you the way that you need it to. Camouflage is a tool, so you need to utilize it to your needs more than anything else. Choose a boot that is going to be comfortable and fit the type of hunting that you're going to do. And don't forget your wool socks. They're going to change your life if you're not already wearing them, I promise. Hot hands are essential, but don't put them in your boot. Wear them on the outside of your boot. If you have any questions about the products that I've shown you today, you can reach out to me on social media, on Facebook. Find me on Instagram, The Gold Tip Girl. And as always, check out www.wildlifewomen.com. Happy hunting.